Take you back, do 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 do. Take you back, take you back, do 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 do.
We are live from the corner of Munson and Civic Center Boulevard. Angelo Vallata alongside Jared Tennant. And Jared, we're here today because we're going to have a season recap show for all the fanatics out there. We're going to have some players stop by, some staff members stop by, some coaches stop by, and even our great FHL mascot Slam stop by. So it's going to be a fun time today.
I'm excited to kind of recap things, go over what happened this season, ahead of tonight's game against Elmira.
It's been crazy that it's been 6 months, and we're glad you're joining us on this ride, and it's been a blast covering it all year, so enjoy the show. Well, Jared, we have opening puck drop tonight at 7:35. We'll have the pregame show at 7:30, but this is going to pretty much do it for the recap show. One other thing I want to mention, Jared's done a great job on the Breaking the Ice segment. 11 of those have dropped throughout the season since January. We've had the Slam Says, a couple of those, but it's been great. Jared's done a wonderful job at game day operations and color commentary and everything in between, but I've loved being a part of the organization, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity, blessed to have had it. And I'm thankful that the Fanatics allowed me to learn each game, because it's we were just up there in the office doing the first broadcast on October, just hoping we could make it through and call what we saw, and here we are today on the last game of the season. So thanks everybody for letting me be a part of it from my end.
I think if you take a look at the team, on the ice, off the ice, everybody involved with it, it's been kind of a steady progress throughout the year. I think listening to Angelo throughout the year, that's for sure. I mean, beginning of the year, you called it more like a soccer game than a hockey game, and now you look at you can tell when it's offsides and icing, when penalties are called, what's going on now. So
yeah, I remember my first goal calls. I was doing the whole soccer long goal, and you were like, hockey's a little different. I mean, that works, but we've learned together, and everybody. It's been a great organization. And would you say it's hard to believe that it was 6 months ago we were up in the other room just hoping it all went well?
yeah, I think so. It's been a quick season.
Well, thanks, Fanatics, for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this season recap show, and until next time, we'll see you later. All right, now we're joined by head coach Ian Duncan, who's born in Toronto, played for both of our alma maters, the Bowling Green State University Falcons, Ziggy Zumba, and named to the All-Century team in 2000. Before we get to the Icebreakers, it sounded like you really had a wonderful time there in Bowling Green in northwest Ohio.
Hated it. I loved it. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with Ohio. It's one of the reasons I'm here in Northeast Ohio now, and always loved coming back to Ohio. I used Ohio as my training grounds throughout my whole career. Went back to Bowling Green and trained with a bunch of other players, but Bowling Green was a great time. It grew up very quickly there, winning a national championship and then being able to be a captain for consecutive years was a dream come true, and on to the pro days. And then
right, you were able to play for the Winnipeg Jets, blessed to play for the National Hockey League, started in '87, named to the All-Rookie team. I mean, is that amazing to look back on what it had to be? A great, great experience there, too.
Oh, yeah, it's a learning curve. Every level you move up, everybody's bigger, stronger, faster. And losing to Harvard on a Saturday night and then playing my first game in the NHL 5 days later against the Calgary Flames. It was a whirlwind, dream come true, everything like that. And I was luckily enough, I was able to score my first goal in my first game. So I got that out of the way and moved on for the rest of the year with the Winnipeg Jets, and then had a career with Winnipeg, and I love Winnipeg very much.
And now you're here in Northeast Ohio with the Menor Icebreakers inaugural season, head coach and GM, so you're a very, very busy guy. Talk about, though, the growth of this team. I mean, all around, October 27th, we come to the rink, and it's like, hey, here we go, right? And now here it's April 6th. And hard to believe the time has flown by that quick, but talk a little bit about the steps along the way.
Yes, exactly. It's, you look at the season when I walked in the doors here on August 6th and then to the opening game in October. The 6 months has been very busy. It's been very challenging, but very rewarding at the same time. We've had players in and out of the lineup all year long. We've been very successful with the lineup, when we have our top players in. But, we've struggled a little bit lately just with concussions and injuries, but The city's been great for us. I've fallen in love with the kind of east side of Cleveland, where I'm a west sider in Avon Lake. But I really do like Mentor and Lake County. Just being out here every day, 6 days a week for the last 6 to 8 months, I've fallen in love with the place. The rink is great for us. The players have everything in proximity here with the health campus just across the street. The doctors are great, the trainers are great, everything. Our communication staff, everything. We've been getting lots of great comments from our Facebook stuff and all our social media stuff, and you guys have done a great job, and I want to thank you and Jared for always being there for us and promoting the Mentor Icebreakers, and I'm looking forward to coming back next year.
Well, you're very welcome, Coach, and I wanted to thank you because I shot you an email late in October, and you took a chance on a guy who knew what hockey was, but did not know what hockey was,
Correct.
if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So you've given me and the staff as well an opportunity to figure it out along the way, so I'm thankful for that. But head coach and GM, Ian Duncan, and he has led the Mentor Icebreakers through the ups, through the downs, and we'll be happy to have Coach back next year. Thanks, Ian, for stopping by.
All right, thanks, guys.
And now we're joined by the top goal scorer for the Mentor Icebreakers, number 4, Mark Esri. And Mark, first and foremost, you're back tonight, and I know you can't wait to get back on the ice.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It was great news to hear last minute, but yeah, definitely excited for tonight.
So when you look at your season, it seems like you got off to that really hot start. It looks like you were the only one scoring in the first couple of weeks there. And then I know you had that injury around Christmas, and then it took about a month or so until you were back to that early season form. So what was it like trying to get over that injury in the middle of the season?
I haven't had too many real injuries in my career, so it was definitely pretty frustrating, pretty tough. There's a huge mental side to it, so a lot of it's just making sure you stay positive. Just try to do everything you can every day in, day out to get better.
And he's been able to do that in 50 games, 23 goals, 28 assists, 51 points scoring line. Those are all pretty much leading numbers for the Mentor Icebreakers. Now, you played collegiate hockey for Framingham State University, is that in Massachusetts?
Yep.
So what was it like collegiate hockey now transition into pro hockey?
There's a couple differences, mainly the speed of the game, the passes, just the overall hockey IQ of the players. I mean, anytime you go up any sort of level, it gets a little tougher. A lot more physical than I was expecting, but some teams have their styles, and what can you do? But it's exciting. It's kind of cool to think that you're in a spot that you can only kind of go up from there. In college, you kind of stuck to one division. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So you were one of those guys that was here since the initial training camp in October. So what has it been like kind of seeing the team, the organization just grow throughout the year?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, it's been a long road, but it's really cool to see something that we've put in work for since day one. Coach had an idea and a goal for this team, what he wanted it to look like on the ice and off the ice, and we kind of all band together, stuck to it, even when it was rough, going through some rough stretches like the year when we were losing a bunch of games. But I don't want to say it really comes as a surprise, just because of how hard everyone's worked and how everyone's been on the same page. So it's really cool to see things coming together.
Mark stands in 6'1", 185, a righty. You scored your first goal on November the 9th versus Watertown. Your biggest night was actually very recently on March 24th. You had a 5-point night against Port Huron with a goal and 4 assists.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun game. I mean, just sometimes you get lucky. There's those games where everything's just coming to you and just going on net. I had a couple chances early, so I felt pretty confident, and luckily, I mean, everyone was just getting open, so it was just a matter of putting the puck in their stick and putting my hands in the air. So Porka and Tommy and all the other guys kind of made it easy for me.
So what was your favorite memory from this season overall?
Oh man, it's a tough one. I'd say beating Carolina twice was definitely up there. That come from behind overtime win we had was pretty up there. I don't know, there's a lot of them, a lot of little ones here and there. Personally, I enjoyed obviously the point nights, but overall I'd say just the fact that we finished the season a lot stronger than we did at the beginning of the year. That's probably my favorite part of this whole season.
Mark, you've been at a lot of the community events as well, and earlier when we stopped by at WTM and the Roxino, and all that stuff. I mean, is that really fun at the Nesters? Is that fun to
Yeah.
get out there and be a part of the community?
Yeah, it's cool. I didn't know there'd be this many things popping up throughout the year, so it's always cool when Jen or Mary Ellen post stuff on the door, get to meet some more members of the community, get more fans, build the fan base a little bit. It's always nice to have that feeling since this is like kind of a grassroots inaugural season. So.
Oh, yeah, it's been fun watching you guys. I mean, I wasn't even a hockey guy coming in, and my family had never watched hockey. And the early games, like Jared was saying, you were scoring, and my mom's like, "Oh, that Mark Esri's good." She'd never watched a hockey game in her life, so for someone that hadn't seen hockey, that's pretty cool. And now we have one other thing that Jared and I have for you. It's an inaugural. This is the inaugural season, right?
Yes.
Well, we came up with we call our broadcast booth the Breakers broadcast booth. You have to have fun,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So we came up with an award. Instead of just calling it MVP, we called it the Slammer Award, kind of an homage to both our head coach Slam and the mascot Slam.
Very cool.
So you are the very first recipient
Wow.
of the Slammer Award for the 2018-2019 season,
Awesome.
awarded from us at the Breakers broadcast booth.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That's
so you
great.
can cherish that forever.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark, for stopping by on a great season.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we're joined by icebreaker number 10, Brett Oldeker. Brett, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And Brett Oldeker, he's been one of the members since the beginning of the season, and we'll talk about some unique thing about that. But Brett, I want to go back in time a little bit. Before your time here at Mentor, you played collegiately at Franklin Pierce University and the University of Pittsburgh, and before that, you were a big man.
That's right.
At Canyon McMillan High School, and I heard they actually retired your number.
They did. It was a very, very kind gesture of my high school to think that highly of me to do that. But I had a great time playing high school hockey. It was something that I'm grateful that I had the experience, and I know a lot of kids don't get to have that opportunity to play high school hockey because they don't have a team or their team's not any good. So I definitely have very, very fond memories of playing for Canyon McMillan.
So despite being kind of one of the smaller guys, only 5'9", 170, you still lead the team in games played. So how have you managed to kind of stay healthy throughout the season?
I think for me, I'm not a very big guy, so I try to just use my speed to my advantage, and that's something that kind of keeps me away from the extracurriculars out there on the ice. So I just try and go out there and focus on creating opportunities and just avoid their players, avoid contact as much as possible, and I think that's definitely helped me limit the amount of bruises.
One thing, Brett, that really impresses me out there is even in those tough road losses, if there was one goal scored, a lot of times it was by number 10, Brett Oldeker. And to me, that speaks of your never say die attitude, and regardless of situation, that you're going to go out there and try to make something happen.
Yeah, I think I approach every game the same way. I just try to go out there and play my game no matter who we're playing or where we're playing. It's just something that I think the whole team is accustomed to. And I guess I've just been on the good side of some fortunate bounces.
So you're one of the guys that actually had your hair donated to Locks for Love on Icebreakers Fight Cancer Night. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'd been growing it for about 7 years, so I knew it was time to make a change. When I saw that we were hosting a cancer night here, it seemed like the perfect opportunity. So I approached the management and said I'd be willing to donate. And they were gracious enough to make a show out of it. So overall it was a great night, and it was great to see some other people come out as well and donate.
Well, that's awesome you guys did that. Now, Brett Oldeker's played in the most games of any icebreaker, 54. You've been here since the beginning. 12 goals, 17 assists, and 29 points. Looking for point number 30 possibly tonight against Elmira. But what kind of growth have you seen, maybe as an individual or as a team 6 months ago, which is hard to believe. In some ways it seems longer, and I'm sure other ways it seems like it's yesterday, right?
It does. I think back to the free agent camp that we had here, and I remember coming in and seeing probably over 80 plus kids all sitting in the stands and having Coach Duncan talk to us all for the first time. So to come from that on day one to where we are now here at the end of the year, it's been special, and I'm very grateful that I've been here the whole time.
Do you have any predictions for the FHL playoffs this year?
I not in particular. I think that there's Carolina's a very strong team. I'm not guaranteeing that they're going to win or anything, but going in, I think they have the best chance.
Brett had his biggest night on January 19th. You had 3 points, 1 goal, and 2 assists. And you scored your first goal all the way back on November 2nd against Danville. But when you look at it all, is there any particular moment that kind of stands out to you through all this? I mean, because you've seen it all. You've seen so many players come and go and injuries, and you've been there through it all.
Right. For me, I go back to the first weekend we played Carolina right before Thanksgiving. We played them here for the first time, and we ended up beating them. And then had a little bus trouble getting down to Carolina for the following night. But we ended up splitting the series with them down in Carolina, so we took 2 out of 3 on the whole. So for me, that was, I think, a real turning point for this club at that time, and that's what.
And that was Thanksgiving, right?
That was Thanksgiving. We played them here before Thanksgiving and played them there Thanksgiving night.
Well, Brett, thanks for stopping by. You've been a blast to watch out there with your speed, and we hope you have a great game tonight against Elmira. Finish the season strong.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you very much.
Now joined by the goaltending coach, Sebastian Regno. And Sebastian, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And Sebastian, a little background on him, was born in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. He actually won a national championship in 2014 with the Mid-State Mustangs. That had to be unbelievable as a kid.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. My senior year too, so it was a good time.
Then you went on to play locally here at Kent State University. And now the goaltending coach for the Men and Icebreakers. You also coached USA Hockey's Mid-Am District Camps, and you're the Vice President of ETM Goaltending and Development. What's that all about?
ETM Goaltending Development's a company. I have a partner out of Pittsburgh, and we work with over 70 goalies between northwest Pennsylvania and northeast Ohio. So we're kind of rapidly expanding in the player market.
Cool. Well, we've had a few different goalies in between the pipes for the Icebreakers this year. Derek Moser has earned 11 wins, and when he's been on, he's really been on with 4 shutout wins only to Christian Pavlis, who's a heck of a goalie here for Carolina. So what have you seen in the growth of Moser throughout the season?
I think Moser really learned how to be a professional. He learned, the mental battle of the game. He's faced a longer season this year than his past college seasons, and I think he's really started to battle that and take care of his body, his nutrition, things like that have really helped him grow as a player.
And I really saw a lot of growth from John Selly Hansen before he had the injury near the end of the year. He really came on late.
Yeah, Selly, he came in, he wasn't playing. So when he got here, we kind of just broke it down to the basics, tried to get him up to game speed. And it took him a little while to get there, but when he started playing really well, he was on a streak for a bit until he got hurt. So.
And Joel Eisenhower on the staff now too. We've also had a few other goalies throughout the season. What's that been like though, with a young team and so much pressure? And I always had learned that from a few Cleveland sportscasters that one of the 2 hardest things to do in all sports is stop a puck flying you at your goal, the other being hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, you're here in the goal, so what kind of goes through the mental aspect of that, especially say if one dribbles through or maybe there's a backline breakdown? How do you keep your goalies mentally strong?
One of the things I like to say is the most important one is the next one. So if you get scored on, playing places like Carolina, Elmira, it gets pretty loud. You just got to forget about it, forget about what the fans are chanting, things like that. When you're at home, it feels a little better when you're scoring on the other goalie, but you just got to kind of keep level-headed, can't be too high, too low throughout the game.
And what would you say is your favorite memory this year? I mean, it's been a wild season, ups and downs, but what sticks out to you most?
I think my favorite memory, I don't even know. Honestly, the whole season's just been a lot of fun. It's been a great experience. I got my first couple games as a head coach, so that was pretty cool. Didn't turn out so well, but that was pretty cool.
Well, you had a very short staff for that weekend in your defense. But lastly, I want to talk about, he's got a hat on right now. Now, if you don't know Sebastian very well, he had a full mane of hair for most of the season, but he was one of a few players that donated their hair to Locks for Love. So can we see the new look?
Yeah, it's all right.
He did it for a great cause, though. Sebastian, it's been fun getting to know you, and you've done a great job with the goalies. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
And now we are joined by the FHL's greatest mascot, and that's Slam. Slam is in the house, and the fanatics that have come to Mentor Civic Ice Arena, they've had such a blast, especially the kids. Slam also gets out to all the community events. He's always a part of everything out there. We had a couple Slam says back in December and February. Slam, show us those dance moves for a second. He stopped by here on the season recap show because, Jared, you can't have a season recap show without Slam.
No, of course not.
So a big thanks to Slam. Slam, thanks for stopping by. Can I get a high five on the way out? All right.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Jared and I are going to take a moment now to look back on some of the highlights of what's been a wild season that we've been very happy to be a part of. And you look at most goals scored on the year, and Mark Esri leading the way with 23. Matt Kadoff got 2 last night, so he gets 20. And Patrick Porka and both Tommy Mahoney with 14, and they're still tonight, so we'll see what happens. But that's one of the facts that we got for you for the top 4 most goals scored for the Icebreakers in their inaugural season.
And you take a look back at the first couple of weeks when the Icebreakers were first playing, Kadoff, Porka, Mahoney, none of those guys were here. I mean, you look up and down the roster, there's a bunch of names you wouldn't even recognize at this point.
And the thing about it is, 47 guys have actually donned a uniform and taken to the ice. Now, there's been more that have come in and out of signing, but actual in-play action, we've had 47 guys with double blue for men.
Yeah, I think a big thing late in the year here is kind of the emergence of the local guys. John Butito, Mike Sullivan, of course Declan Conway's been here all year, but there's a lot of talent in Northeast Ohio, and there are some guys that play at this level.
Most assists for active players, we got Mark Esri with 28, Tommy Mahoney with 25, and both Brody Duncan and Nate Farrington with 21, and that leads right into the points. Esri with 51, and he'll be back tonight as well. Mahoney with 39, Kadoff 35, and Patrick Porka 34. And Porka actually finished before his injury on a 5-point streak for the Icebreakers.
That was kind of an unfortunately timed injury, but it's been like that all year for the Icebreakers. Had to deal with a lot of those injuries and suspensions. It just seemed to come at the worst times.
And a few things that I remember, I've got some of the first in Icebreakers history I thought the Fanatics might be interested in. So the first overtime win was on March 10th, that 8-7 victory over Danville. The first shootout happened just recently on March 30th at Elmira. The first assists were by Alexander Morrow and Adamo Aslan on opening night versus Watertown. First goal scored by James Kenkos on the 27th as well. Most goals scored in a game. He went up to the Peoria Rivermen of the SPHL, Drake Hunter with 4 on November 30th. He also had most assists in a game with 4 just the previous week on the 22nd of November. That was that big win against Carolina. Most saves in a game, Derek Moser with 50 in the first Icebreakers franchise victory. That was on the 17th of November against Port Huron. The biggest win was 7-0 on the 30th against November against Watertown. Longest win streak was 2 multiple times. Stephen Fowler had the first shorthanded goal on January 19th versus Danville. Most shots in a game, 61 were rattled off against Port Huron on January the 11th. Most team goals in a game were 11 on February 9th for Port Huron. And also the first penalty shot was that night by Stephen Fowler. So just some fun kind of first to think back on and what has been, a great first season for the Icebreakers.
Yeah, I think a couple of the memorable games that stand out for me, March 10th when Declan Conway and Tommy Mahoney scored in the final minute against Danville to tie it up. And then, of course, Parker Moskal won it in overtime to complete his hat trick.
Parker Moskal almost made me lose my voice on that overtime call, but that was for a good reason. And one more thing, your call-ups, we mentioned Drake Hunter in December was called up to the Rivermen, and Joe Fadoma, who's back with the team now, he had a brief stint with the Evansville Thunderbolts of the SPHL too. So those are just some of the highlights that we wanted to relive for all of our fanatics out there, and hope you're enjoying the recap show today.